Say that again?
I've been given some insider information, like I've been led to specific information
Mm-hmm.
that if we do this, we will be the ones who succeed. Have you noticed how many people are floundering around with all this information and no one's actually achieving anything?
Yes.
Yeah, I know why.
Are you going to share it with us?
Yes, and I think you might be the only one to hear it. So,
Well, I'm just going to tell you, someone was just asking in a group I'm in, recommended books. So of course there's like 50 books that are listed, right?
yep.
And one guy just like, I don't believe in self-improvement books. And he just went on and on. People were successful without all these books 100 years ago. And he went on and on. And I thought about it and I thought, you're partially right. But I think, people are looking for happiness externally where it's all from within. And we have to take action and apply what we're learning, understanding through application, not just knowledge. And I think a lot of us, that's what we do. We go from one book. There's people, they have like 20 books on their list to read.
Mm.
And it's like guilty as charged. But I'm realizing, like I read somewhere, all you need is like maybe, 10 books that you keep rereading because the messages are there.
Yeah.
So
it's you can read a million books. You can read a million books and it won't do you any harm, because back 100 years ago they used to share the knowledge down through the generations, but nowadays they don't. So we have to find it in books, and the more books you read, the more likely you are to find what resonates with you and helps it to sink in. But what you were saying about applying it, that's putting it mildly. What I've learned, yes,
hold on a second. I just, you know what? For some reason, I could hear a noise, and it's because my cell phone had an alarm on, so I wouldn't be late. I was doing my laundry, and my bedroom window was left open, and it's 60 degrees in my bedroom.
Oh.
That's cold. It's like, I'm going to run in places. I'm putting this stuff away. So anyways, okay, so why don't you go ahead?
Okay, so this week I've finally started my local community. Last night, and I did my first live book study on Monday night. I had 6 people there, and it was awesome. I was expecting to finish at 8:30. We were closing the doors at 10. They were just sharing the experiences with each other about how, when they've changed their thought patterns, things have turned out for them, and it was just absolutely amazing. There was one woman there who was sitting directly opposite me. Not everyone had their books yet because they've ordered them, so it wasn't exactly how we do it. It was a bit more, I read all of it, and then we discussed it a little bit, and then we got on to experiences and stuff. So it wasn't very structured, but it was really good. But the woman sitting opposite me, she had a real negative energy, and the moment she sat down, she said, we actually got to be reading this. I said, well, I was actually hoping that you would read it to me, trying to lift it a little bit. And everyone else laughed, and she rolled right. She says, oh, I don't read. And I thought to myself, well, why are you at a book club? And all through the time that I was reading, I had lost my voice because I would let one of the children in care who was sick, and I'm too soft to tell the parents, no, you've got to have a day off work. So I just really make sure I keep their nose clean and they can't pass the germs on. But I've picked it up because I'm a human handkerchief. And so I never get sick from the kids. Because I've been working with them for 15 years, it's my immune system's it's just used to it. So I was losing my voice, and I'm reading, and every now and again while I'm reading, I'm picking up this woman whose energy was really negative, and it was putting me off, and I had to really focus and think positively to get it read. So I finished reading the chapter, and then I asked everyone what their opinion was and whether they believed in the law of attraction and what they thought about it. And no one there really didn't really know very much about it, but they knew that if they changed their thoughts, that their circumstances would change. And there was a really good conversation, and they were all helping each other with situations and like just normal circumstances in life and stuff. And after that, I kind of come home and I thought, was it really very good? Like, I was doubting it. And then a couple of people messaged me and said it was absolutely awesome. They really felt heard and it was something really special. And I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe it is good. But these doubts are still starting to come up, and also with the room that I've taken on the Mondays, I'm only getting a couple of clients coming in, so I'm only just covering costs. And on this Monday just gone, I didn't have anyone come in at all. But I haven't really advertised yet. So I worked on an ad for one of our local magazines the whole time I was there. And I was starting to get some doubt, so I went, right, stop that, change it over, right, get serious about this and start focusing now. What exactly do you want? What are you trying to achieve here? So I started writing it down. And then I thought, oh, okay, I'll make a because I hadn't made the Facebook group at this stage. I just started the book club and I just made an event from my business page. I thought, right, I'm going to make a Facebook group just for the Cairns community of people who are coming to the book club. So I did that, and I wrote a personal message to, because there was 32 people interested in coming and only 6 came. Well, there was 37 or something altogether. Some who said they were coming, the rest said they were interested. So I wrote a personal message to all of them and said, sorry that I missed you at the book club. It was a really great event. Feel free to join the group, the Facebook group, because I'll be posting relevant material and communications about upcoming book club nights. And by the time I went to sleep, I had 12 members in the group, which was double the people who came. So that was really good. And after I set it up, I went on to YouTube to try and find some really good information for them, so I could start them off with, you know, some nice stuff to look at when they first come in. And I put The Secret on there, and I put a thing on there which is like movie stars, or not, you don't call them movie stars these days, like actors, well-known actors who were talking about the law of attraction. There was Denzel Washington and like really well-known ones. So it was a really good one for them to see.
Another one.
There's
Will Smith's another one.
Yeah, I saw his as well. But for some reason, I ended up on Kevin Trudeau again. And
okay.
Yeah, and in the background, I was doing some of my daycare work because I have to do up a curriculum, and I know I'm getting a visit this week. So I hadn't done it last week because I was so busy. I was just doing that in the background, just loading photos on and writing a description of the teachings and stuff we did. So I'm doing that in the background while I'm listening to Kevin Trudeau. And he so much emphasises the basics. He said there that the societies have made it seem like there is a secret. The secret is that there really isn't a secret. All of those things that you know it all, but you don't realise the intensity that you need to master it. So it's not like, okay, so I'll do my visualization, I'll do my gratitudes, if I find time, I'll meditate. It's so wishy-washy, and we're still involved in all of the stuff in the world. And he did an illustration of, he went to see a monk, because the training that they do is so rigorous. They get phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning because they have to observe other members, and they always have a mentor, and they eventually mentor others, but they always still have a mentor. So whatever happens in the society, they have to be observing and picking up and seeing what is there to learn. So they might get a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning saying, did you watch the speech at the whatever it was? What did you observe from that? So they had such intensive training to train their minds to control their thoughts, that it was like this monk that he gave the illustration of. He went to see this monk, and they also practice, I guess, martial arts for discipline. And he went and saw this monk, and the monk said, okay, show me your punch. And there was a candle there. And he did his punch, and his punch stopped like half an inch from the candle. And he said that was a really awesome punch. He was really proud of it. And the monk didn't speak English, so they had an interpreter. And the monk basically said to the interpreter, that was a really impressive punch. Really impressed. And then he said, would you like to see mine? And Kevin said, yeah. So the monk did his punch, and his punch stopped 1.5 feet away from the candle, and it blew the candle out. And so the illustration was that you just practice that one punch, but you practice it so well that you absolutely master it to that extreme. And that's how much we need to master our thoughts. It's like going into training for martial arts to be able to blow out a candle at 1.5 feet. That is the extreme.
And it's so true, because wasn't it Andrew Carnegie who controlled all his thoughts?
Yeah.
Like, he mastered his thoughts so that, like, I mean, I find that amazing, to be honest, the fact that you could do it all the time, because sometimes doesn't it ever just wander? But it's like, if it wanders just slightly, he's on top of it. He's that aware.
Well, after that, what do they do at martial arts? They just train like twice a day or something for a certain period of time. Same with the gym. If you want to build your body up, you like train once a day or 3 times a week. So there's a training period. So then after that, I came and did my pre-study last night to go over the chapter and underline the points that I thought were important. And then for some reason, turn to the back of the book and have a look. It's at the end of the chapter, because I just remembered Christos saying to me that there's important information at the back of the chapter. And I found it's got hints for application and practice.
Oh, at the end of the book, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't read that. That's where it's like, can we get, because I remember Christos saying that chapters 16 and 17 he reads regularly. So it's like, I can't wait for us to get there. Why I haven't thought of reading them on my own, don't ask me. I just can't believe it.
Life just gets in the way. So what's 16? 16 suggestions as you pray, as to how to pray or ask, believing you already received. Oh, okay. So that's probably I haven't read that either. That's probably clarifying all of that. How to ask, believing you've already received. But this,
yeah, because what you just read, hints for application and practice, that's part of chapter 16.
Oh, is it? It's the end of that. Okay.
Yeah, that's our next one.
So there's 3 things. The first one, I had to read it a few times to really get it. The first one was spend 1 minute in every 24 hours to conscientiously thinking over the specification that must be observed in order to have your prayers answered. And so 1 minute in every 24 hours thinking about, faith, belief, gratitude. That's the specifications that we need to have our prayers answered. And then the second one, practice the steady recognition of desirable thought possession for 2 periods of 15 minutes each day. That's the training. So 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night. So I'll just finish reading it first. Not only time yourself each period to see how long you can keep a given conception before your mental vision, but also keep a written record of the vividness with which you experience your mental image. Remember that your mental senses are just as varied and trainable as your physical ones. And after that Trudeau thing, and then I came immediately in here and was told to open this page and read that. That's the training. 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night, holding a conception or an idea of an image in front of your mind without allowing it to deviate is like going to the gym twice a day and training your mind to stick to a thought. And I got goosebumps and I thought, that's it. We've got to have an actual training process, like we're training for the Olympics, but we're just training to be able to control our world.
So what's not clear to me is this okay, so like I'm a day trader. I'm wealthy at it. That's right. I'm wealthy. I'm a millionaire, multimillionaire. So do I, for 15 minutes a day, I mean, is this saying to visualize myself trading well, or visualize myself as a multimillionaire, or visualize myself as the fit person?
You can visualize a dog sitting on a car. It's training your mind to hold that thought without allowing your mind to get distracted and making it do what you tell it.
So it's not about we're working towards.
Well, we can still do that. Well, I actually did use something that that's another thing that happened. I drew these two pictures of what I want my life to be like when, and even just saying that, I know, well, it's obviously in the future. It's always going to be in the future, but it's different now. And I had them stuck on my cupboard door. They're pictures I sketched of from inside my office with my certificates on the wall of, my coaching and energy healing, and my laptop's open with the book that I'm writing. There's another laptop open with my coaching program with a wireless headset sitting there. There's a pile of books. There's Amazon bestseller plaques on the wall for my books. And I'm looking out the window of my office to the yard with my daughter riding her horse and my ideal car in the driveway. And it had fallen off and it'd been laying on the floor for about a week and I hadn't even noticed. So I obviously haven't been looking at it. Yesterday morning, I picked it up and I glued it back on there and I looked at it and I thought, I've given up. It's been sidetracked from it. And I said, no, I'm not giving up on you. And I took a photo of it and I put it on the front of my phone as the screensaver thing. And now I forget what I was getting to.
Saw the picture, so...
So the picture that I decided to hold in my mind is another aspect of that, where I have my local community coming into my home like once a month or something to get together. And what we're doing in my image is all sitting on my beautiful leather lounge, which is like in a U shape, like a huge. There's about 12 of us and we're all doing our 15-minute mind control exercise of love, and there's a love heart up above everyone and it's like a red line kind of thing going from each person to the heart, because we've all decided on a common picture to focus our mind on, but we're all doing the exercise together in my lounge room in my ideal house. So that's just the image I chose because I figure, why not kill two birds with one stone?
So when you're looking at this picture, okay, is it a still picture or is it like you're visualizing? Like you're seeing the people come in and sitting down. I've said I'm a little literal, so sometimes I'm like, I need specificity.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think with this particular exercise, which is a brain training exercise or thought training exercise, it would be still, because the stiller that you can force your thoughts to be, the more you're training it. Whereas if it's movement and there's people coming in and out, you're more likely to disturb your thoughts. Yeah. So I've made it completely still.
Bob gives the example when people talk about concentration, and which is kind of what this is, but he talks about, look at a candle. Look at a burning candle and just stare at that wick and just stare at it. And that's how you develop your concentration, which is, to some degree, this is what this is doing.
Yeah. He's been teaching that and he does it, but who's doing it? No one.
Yeah.
But he hasn't emphasized the fact that you need to train your mind in order for any of this to work. That's what needs to be said.
Because we do the affirmations, we do the visualizing, but when I'm in the middle of my trading, I'm distracted, I'm this, I'm that. It's like, so by doing this and like working on our concentration, we're applying laser focus. It's almost like we're taking a magnifying glass, and the light that's shining down on all of us, you put it through that magnifying glass and you direct it so it's a laser focus and it causes a flame.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. We need to be able to get back to being able to 100% control our thoughts. And that's a training process. Like you can't miss a morning and you can't miss a night. And I'm going to do what Genevieve Bren says here, is write down. Like this morning, I had a really hard time doing it because I was so excited about telling you guys about this. And my mind kept just going to that. And I just wanted to get up and come and do it. But last night, it wasn't too bad. Like I wandered a little bit, but I expected that because I've just started training my mind. But I expect to get to a point where I can sit there for the 15 minutes and just hold that thought, and that's going to, maybe I'll increase it then, I don't know. But I just know that this is what we need to do if we want to be successful in all this stuff we're learning. If we don't do this, we might as well just stop doing it all.
You're right, because, you can do the affirmations, but that's like 5-10 minutes of your day or 15, kind of scattered throughout while you're doing everything else. And then you do your gratitude, which, you feel good. And it's like, what this reminds me of, like I tell my husband with our trading, it's like we've been in a boat and no one's been steering it, and we've been all over the place. We're on this method, that method, this course, that course, boom, 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 but there's not that laser focus. We're not going, and this, so what, to me, it's like when we do our affirmations, when we focus on this and we look at that, and then we do our gratitude, it's kind of like, we're mechanically going through the motion. But I think you're right, because I've heard Bob talk about the concentration and how important it is. Because when you think about it, okay, here's, and I may not explain this right, but the way I equate this is that, you can be working towards your goal as you happen. You do your affirmations, and there's benefits in doing your affirmations. You're visualizing your gratitude and taking action. There is, and, you're working on your thoughts. But if you can concentrate your thoughts, you probably are going to get 24 hours of normal thought in 1 hour. If you if you learn to concentrate and focus.
And not only that, and I see what you're getting at, but throughout the whole day, because like thoughts attract like, if you can't control your thoughts and in between they're wandering all over the place, you're attracting more of those wandering thoughts on whatever vibrational frequency they're on to you.
And they may be good things, you're thinking about this and you're thinking about that. But, again, it's a little scattered. So when you think about what you've said, like, look at all the light that's shining in. Now just take a magnifying glass and look at how that laser focus, all focused in one area, what it does. So when you think about our minds and our thoughts being like the sunshine, they're all good thoughts and they're here and there. But now take those thoughts in one area and, concentrate in that one area and think of the power.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And another thing I picked up just while I was actually doing this chapter last night, it's all in here as well. It just happens to be all in this chapter as well. She's talking about holding the thought, being able to hold the thought for long enough. And I don't think any of us can hold a thought for more than 3 seconds. So we're not going to be able to use the law of attraction at all.
I think we can hold it for more than 3 seconds when we have to pee really bad.
Yeah. Or in emergency situations only.
Then we've got super laser focus. But you know what? It's so true, because, it's effort. And I think we're slowly, like the way I look, here's another analogy. Oftentimes I talk about a cruise ship versus a jet ski. And it's like, what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the direction of a cruise ship. And you can imagine, because our minds, we operate a certain way, and think about the amount of time it's going to take to reverse course on a cruise ship, to turn around.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of effort and time.
If you spend time studying how to drive the cruise ship and then jump on the turn around.
But to me, it's by focusing, instead of this taking months and months, by practicing what you're saying, it's almost like we can turn that ship around like a jet ski. It doesn't have to be, as it's not going to take months and months. Because, like, in my mastermind group, one of the women said, because my mind can kind of go all over the place, and she said, it's taken you a long time to be the person that you are. You can't expect to change it overnight. And she's right, but I think sometimes it's like, we go through the motions, but there's like missing links. And I think what you're saying is the concentration. And again, I just equate it that if you're thinking about the life that you want and those thoughts are scattered throughout the day, okay, so that's good. But now imagine if you had 1 hour of concentrated, and think of the vibration of that 1 hour of you, and then if you did that all day, think how magnified it is compared to it's interspersed with everything else going on.
Yeah, and in addition to that, all of the negative thoughts that used to pop into our mind, we don't allow them anymore. Like we've tuned ourselves off that complete frequency completely. Like this week, I've really been picking it up on myself. Like, so the Monday, which is my day at the Healing Center, and then was my first book study. I started feeling like that flu-y thing coming on from the daycare kids on Saturday or Sunday, and all I could think of was, why? I never get sick. Why is this happening now? After 4 years of study, and I've finally put myself into the community and started a group. I need to read and talk to people, and I'm losing my voice. And I was thinking to myself, you can't think like that. You need to think that you're healthy and blah, blah, blah. But I haven't been controlling my thoughts enough to switch it off because I was nervous and I was excited and it was new, and it just kept coming up, and I didn't have the control enough to just switch it off. And
you berated yourself. You berated yourself to try and switch it. Instead of like catching yourself and going, oh, how interesting. I'm going to focus on health, and just, sitting there and just picture the healing of, light coming down on you or whatever. Instead, it's like, oh, you're not thinking positive, that's what we tend to do.
Yeah. Well, see, what I noticed was that I just didn't have the control. If I had been training already for 15 minutes every morning, 15 minutes every night, I would have had the control, and I would have just thought to myself, I know how to control these thoughts. I'm just going to decide not to think that and switch over. Like completely cold, trained. Yep. But I haven't been training myself.
How would you switch yourself, or let me ask you something. So you notice you're getting sick. So do you like maybe visualize, like when you concentrate on the word health, or you're talking about 15, like, okay, you're talking, I'm going in two directions here. So there's the exercise of just concentration, whether you do a flame in a candle, which by the way, there's YouTube videos of that. So you could actually...
You actually need to have a concept in your mind though. It can't be blank. You need to learn how to hold one idea without being distracted.
Okay, but this is what I'm asking. So there's the practice.
Yeah. So
like, for example, I could do the candle and focus on looking at that candle, and work my way up to 15 minutes of concentration on that candle flame. Okay, so I can do that twice a day to kind of really help with my concentration and my focus.
Yep.
Right, and then on top of that, what you're saying is that by us doing that, the minute you realized you were sick, you could like flip your talk right away and choose to focus on health.
Yeah, and being more trained, I would just be asking myself, what have I been thinking that has allowed me to begin to get sick?
Who must I be? It's like, who must I be in order for fill in the blank?
Or okay, so let me ask you a question. Does, how am I going to say this? How does that benefit you by spending the energy trying to figure out why you got sick instead of realizing and then just choosing your energy towards health?
Well, it'll prevent me from doing it again in the future. But then I would only spend like a couple of seconds on that and then switch over to health. because I
there's
want
a
to
video.
find out why I'm doing that to myself, so I don't do it again.
But when I have a question for you, Nicole, when you are asking and I'm being objective, when you're asking, the why, are you also asking, how did I create this, rather than the why so much? Or are you just
I wouldn't be
using
asking
it?
why. I'd be asking, what have I done to create this? Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Because I want to stop doing
Why
it.
can get you caught in a loop? It just tick you,
Yeah.
like.
No, so I may have
don't go anywhere.
been worried about something. I may have taken to, like, at the moment, I know why. I know what's happened, how I've been thinking, because I've taken on so much and I'm so busy, but I've been thinking, oh, I'm so busy. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm exhausted. Oh, I've got so much going on. Instead of thinking, oh my goodness, such abundance is going to start flowing in with all of this action I'm taking. I'm so excited. That's why I've been getting run down, because I've been thinking thoughts of being run down.
Hold on a second. I got to get my door. Hold on.
Like, how did I create this? Okay.
Yeah.
What can I do about it?
Yeah, exactly. So recognize what you've done, and so you can stop doing it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to keep doing it. And then, okay, I've realized that now. So now I'm just thinking thoughts of health and abundance and happiness and being light and energetic and vibrant. And I've also started blessing my water. So when I fill up the water container for the fridge, I'm saying,
thank you.
Inject this water with health and vitality, and putting that intention into the water. So every time I'm drinking out of the water and my kids are drinking out of the water, they're getting the vibration of health and vitality. And today I also started putting into there not only health and vitality, but clarity and wisdom.
Oh, I have a thought. It's kind of just inspired thought about that. About with the health thing. The health. I can share from my experience that when there's been, I guess it depends on what's happening too. If you have something all of a sudden, you're feeling some sensations of, like, oh, I could, something fluid going on in the ears or whatever happening, or whatever that might be. Our automatic response mechanism can end up likely being that, and we're jumping to a conclusion, we're making an assumption or assuming something's going to happen, and instead of, then there's another part. It's like, okay, and if that starts to happen, say, like for me, I found it helpful whenever I've had that happen, and I'm like, oh, I'm cleansing, my body's doing some cleansing, clearing something out. I'm happy, great, I am healthy, vital, and strong, and I repeat that. If I know that I'm running through my mind like, oh, I'm concerned about, or I start to get into that entrapment of, oh, I'm going to be ill or something like that, it's like I start to reclaim it and reaffirm, and I'm so happy and grateful now that I am healthy, vital, and strong. I'm healthy, vital, and strong. So it's retraining the mind to get the body to be in alignment with that.
Yep. Callie, you missed the start of the conversation. You might want to go back and listen to the recording of how.
I will.
Yeah.
I had to even go in and find the right ebook, because the other one, what the 15 chapter 15 was missing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a video that there's an intuitive friend of mine, this woman I know, and she posted it, and it's on YouTube, and the woman's name is Teal Swan, and her video is called Fuck the Law of Attraction. And I got to tell you, she's an intuitive herself, and I found it really interesting, and I'm going to listen to it again because...
What video is that?
It's called, just like it sounds, Fuck the Law of Attraction.
Of attraction?
I don't think that word computes with Callie.
I'm not hearing the consonants right.
Yeah, F-U-C-K, that's right.
It is for me.
That just doesn't resonate. Those two things.
But it turned out to be an interesting video, and it's obviously one I need to listen to again, because she talks about, like, kind of what you're talking about how every time something goes wrong in someone's life, the way that we're trained is that I brought it on myself. What did I think? What did I do? Whatever. And what she was, I think what her message is that there's your physical body law of attraction, but then your soul also has a law of attraction. And sometimes things come into your life, like say, for example, you're in a negative relationship. And you might say, what did I think? Why did it, what did I bring this on to myself? But sometimes it's your soul that did it. And sometimes it's that negative that the soul brought in that helps you realize the positive of what you do want.
So what's right about this? I'm not getting.
Yeah, that's always a good question.
And so that's where, obviously I need to listen to it again, but that's where, like when you were saying you started to get sick, what did I do? What did I think? Because she talks about that and how, every time anything goes wrong in your life, people, because of the law of attraction, automatically feel that, well, I willed this, I willed getting in this car accident. I willed this. And it's like she's saying, not necessarily, because it could be your higher self law of attraction. So sometimes your law of attraction and what your soul law of attraction can be a little different. Well, that's an interesting concept. I obviously I need to listen to this again.
Yeah,
so
that
anyway,
sounds really confusing to me.
Yeah,
what?
I thought it was
my belief system.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, I guess for me, is that I think what you're saying is the concentration to just turn it around and move forward for me, because I know I can spend a lot of time in analysis and doesn't always get me anywhere. So my brother and I both have that.
Go with what resonates, what's right for you. There's no right, wrong, good, or bad. Everybody has a different take on things.
Yep. Good, better, best.
Mm-hmm.
So what works?
Yeah.
In conversation. I got to say, when I read chapter 15, I read it first thing this morning, and I thought like almost the whole thing was excellent.
Yes, it's a brilliant. I have to get off the call in less than an hour.
So why don't we get started, and then we can. I don't know if we'll have much to add.
There was some really good points, so I think it's all relevant to what we're talking about anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have to jump off at past.
Okay. Well, then I'll go ahead and get started.
Yep.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay.
Okay. Chapter 15. Faith with works, what it has accomplished. It is said of Tyson, the great Australian millionaire, that the suggestion to make the desert land of Australia blossom as the rose came to him from a modest little Australian violet while he was working as a bushman for something like 3 shillings a day. He used to find these friendly little violets growing in certain places in the woods, and something in the flower touched something akin to itself in the mind of Tyson. He would sit on the side of his bunk at night and wonder how flowers and vegetable life could be given an opportunity to express themselves in the desert land of Australia. No doubt he realized that he would take a long time to save enough money to put irrigation ditches in the desert lands, but his thought and feeling assured him it could be accomplished, and if it could be done, he could do it. If there was a power within himself which was able to capture the idea, then there must be a responsive power within the idea itself which could bring itself into a practical physical manifestation. He resolutely put aside all questions as to the specific ways and means which would be employed in bringing his desire into physical manifestation, and simply kept his thoughts centered upon the idea of making fences and seeing flowers and grass where none existed at the time. Since the responsiveness of reproductive creative power is not limited to any local condition of mind, his habitual meditation and mental pictures set his ideas free to roam in an infinitude and attract to themselves other ideas of a kindred nature. Therefore, it was not necessary for Tyson to wait until he had saved from his 3 shillings a day enough money to irrigate the land to see his ideas and desires fulfilled, for his ideas found other ideas in the financial world which were attuned in sympathy with themselves, and doors of finance were quickly opened. All charitable institutions are maintained upon the principle of the responsiveness of life. If this were not true, no one would care to give, simply because another needed. The law of demand and supply, cause and effect, can never be broken. Ideas attract to themselves kindred ideas. Sometimes they come from a flower, a book, or out of the invisible. You are intent upon an idea not quite complete as the ways and means of fulfillment, and behold, along comes another idea from no one can tell where, and finds friendly lodging with your idea, one idea attracting another, and so on until your desires are physical facts. You may feel the necessity for improvement in your finances and wonder how this increase is to be brought about. Then there seems suddenly to come from within the idea itself the realization that everything, even money, had its birth in thought, and your thoughts turn their course. You simply hold to the statement of affirmation, and the best and all there is yours. Since you are able to capture ideas from the infinite through the instrument of your intuition, you let your mind rest upon that thought, knowing full well that this very thought will respond to itself. Your inhibition of all doubt and anxiety enables the reassuring ideas to establish themselves and attract to themselves I can and I will ideas, which gradually grow into the physical form of the desire in your mind. In the conscious uses of the universal power to reproduce your desires in physical form, 3 facts should be borne in mind. First, all space is filled with a creative power. Second, this creative power is amenable to suggestion. Third, it can only work by deductive methods. As Troward tells us, this last is an exceedingly important point, for it implies that the action of the ever-present creative power is in no way limited by precedent. It works according to the essence of the spirit of the principle. In other words, this universal power takes its creative direction from the word you give it. Once man realizes this great truth, the character with which the sensitive reproductive power is invested becomes the most important of all his considerations. It is the unvarying law of creative life principle that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you realize the truth that the creative power can be to you only what you feel and think it to be, it is willing and able to meet your demands. I love it. Troward says, if you think your thought is powerful, your thought is powerful. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, is a law of life, and the creative power can no more change this law than an ordinary mirror can reflect back to you a different image than the object you hold before it. As you think, so are you. Does not mean as you tell people you think, or as you would wish the world to believe you think. It means your innermost thoughts, the place where no one but you knows. None can know the Father save the Son, and no one can know the Son but the Father. Only the reproductive creative spirit of life knows what you think until your thoughts become physical facts and manifest themselves in your body, your brain, or your affairs. Then everyone with whom you come into contact may know, because the Father, the intelligent creative energy, which heareth in secret your most secret thoughts, rewards you openly, produces your thoughts in physical form. As you think, that is what you become, should be kept in the background of your mind constantly. This is watching and praying without ceasing, and when you are feeling quite up to par, physically pray. It's kind of what you said. Watching and praying without ceasing, controlling your thoughts.
Yeah, and to do that, we need to train them.
Yep.
It reminds me of listening to Catherine Ponder's book on audio, Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, and she does emphasize in different parts in different ways about that. You know, it's like retraining your mind. It's like, you know,
She is good. She is good. It's on YouTube, Nicole.
Yeah.
It's about 9 hours long.
She's got lectures on there too, and so I ended up downloading all of them, converting them, and downloaded them.
What's her name?
Yep, me too.
What's her name? again?
Catherine Ponder with a C, and it's the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity.
Dynamic Laws of Prosperity lectures also. So, the book and the lectures are the ones where I guess that was when she was maybe before it got put together or around the same time. I'm not sure. It was in the 70s, I think. So.
Yeah, and she's a minister in the Unity Church, which is pretty non-denominational, and she reminds me in some ways. She reminds me of Dr. Joseph Murphy, who also has a very spiritual aspect. And I started reading. I got a hard copy of her book, and what I like about it is that she gives like real practical exercises, things to do. Like if you're having a problem with someone, write to their angel. I thought, wow, that's a brilliant idea. And she gives an example of someone who's having an issue with someone and they wrote to that person's angel.
We use that technique in matrix therapies. It's a visualization process where we take the person to their higher self. It's releasing negative influences from the past. So it may still be someone who's alive, but they have a conversation from their higher perspective to the other person's higher perspective, and they just empty out everything that's bothering them. And they can also ask the higher perspective of the other person for answers. It's a really awesome process, and it allows people to just let go of the negative influence altogether. But anyway, let's get into this. So she's talking about this guy, this millionaire from Australia. So he was a cattle and sheep farmer, and he was seeing these violets growing, and so he conceived the idea of putting water trenches through because he figured there must be water under there. He says that he put aside all questions as to the specific ways and means that he would need to be able to bring that about. And he just took on the habitual meditation and mental picture, and the ideas just started attracting like ideas, and he was getting ideas of other ways from the financial world to get the money to put that together. And eventually he did. He irrigated for cattle and sheep farming and was the wealthiest person in Australia at the time.
Very visual. Very visual.
And, it reminds me of what Bob always says, focus on what you want. 2 things you need to know, where you are and what you want. Because if you focus on what you want, you're going to attract it. And that's what he did. He didn't worry about the how. He just knew that he was going to have it. There was an expectancy there. Yeah. And he focused on what he wanted, and he took some action, and opportunities lined up for him, including financial ones. Yeah. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. And when we're talking and we say, we think about what we want, and the law of attraction will attract it to us. It doesn't attract it to us. It attracts another idea that points us in the direction to take some more action. Then when we act on that idea and we continue to focus on the outcome, then we'll get another like thought attracted. So it's a step-by-step process. You've got to let go of the whole journey and just focus on it, get that very next idea, act on that one. Then when you've done that, and continue focusing on the long-term result as if it's there now, the next idea will come. And it's a sequence of ideas that come to you. It's not all of a sudden he meets someone who says, oh, let's put some trenches in. They start going digging the trenches because it's attracted to him and it just happens. It was one idea, another idea, another idea. So it was attracted to him, but the outcome wasn't attracted to him. A like thought was attracted to him because he maintained those thoughts for long enough to hold the vibration of that thought that like thoughts were attracted.
Yeah, I like how there's, it's a great example where, he kept his thoughts centered on the idea of, making the fences and seeing the flowers and grass and like, you can definitely, maintain some focus on that, being able to see it, visualize it, and seeing the process, just like if we were to take kids, to, give them an idea of where they're going to go by playing this little game thing with that, the same idea. It's kind of neat.
Well, it was a habitual meditation, so he obviously did it. Well, it says every morning and every night, and then it says that attuned in sympathy. He found other ideas in the financial world which were attuned in sympathy with themselves. So you know what that means, right? I don't have to explain that to you.
Yep.
Say that again.
So
Like attract like.
yeah.
Okay.
So as he focused morning and night habitually on this idea, other ideas that were like ideas were attracted to him.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, there was a quote in one of my workbooks from Bob, but there was a quote that basically, you focus on what you want and you start taking action, and when you're done, with that, then it'll show you the next, just like what you were saying. It's like you can't, when you're thinking about what you want, don't expect all the steps to be in front of you. Just take the first step, and then, it's like, if you're looking at the horizon, it looks like it's flat, but as you keep going forward, you see more. It keeps opening up, and then you go forward, and then you see more. So it's very much like what you're saying, and it's so true. I think so many of us, it's like we have to have all the steps in place before we take action.
And that's where it comes down to really trusting in the universe. And I imagine that's where they say, let go and let God, because you can't determine how it's going to come in. It might just be a tiniest little idea that you may not even think is anything. But if you don't act on it, you won't be in the right spot for the next, maybe bigger idea.
Yep.
Yeah, isn't that also contribute to having inhibition and anxiety or doubt and stuff like that if you're not really doing anything, not really applying any action?
Yeah, nothing's going to happen.
That's true.
That's just a given.
Yeah. Obviously.
I like how, in the next paragraph, she says, the law of demand and supply. I love that. And that was pointed out before. I don't know if it was in this book or somewhere else. And I remember us talking about it because we always refer to it as supply and demand. And this, that's how I always think about it. Even in trading, there's the law of supply and demand. But this is demand and supply, and it's like demand it, and then the supplies will come.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Instead of save your money, have the supplies first, and then go get what you want. They're saying go for what you want, and the supplies come.
Yep. That's the whole concept that I based taking that room at the healing center. I thought to myself, I've been focusing online. I don't have any local clients whatsoever. But if I don't take a place to bring them to, how am I going to get them? If I don't create the supply, the demand can't come.
Or you created the demand of wanting local. You made that decision.
Yeah,
you want people, local people. So you demanded it, and then you took action and you found the room. And then from there, you're going to meet other people, and the doors are going to start opening up because you demanded, and you keep demanding, knowing what basically you're clear what you want, and the opportunities are opening up for you. Like attracts like.
Yeah.
It's, kindred spirits. So
I couldn't sit back and wait for the demand because it's not going to happen.
Well, you created
it takes more than just the demand. It takes.
I'm not thinking about the money coming in. I'm thinking about my services.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anticipating and putting emotion in behind it, and and then making connections. Doing some kind like to reinforce that.
Yeah, and definitely what Kathy was saying, putting the demand there first.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it you want? We always think of it in terms of monetary, but demand. And that's, when you think about what you want, that's demanding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
the point of being clear, because we always, hear about how clear we need to be. That was another thing I did yesterday as well. I got so clear that I put my whole things that I've been working towards down in 4 steps, 4 things.
Mhm.
Crystal clear.
Good.
awesome.
Sharp. Cool.
So then she's saying about how, since you're able to capture ideas from the infinite through the instrument of your intuition, let your mind rest upon that thought, even though it's talking about that idea of being able to capture ideas, but just there's always, rest upon it. And then she says, simply hold to that statement. And there's always words, whatever we're reading, that's about holding it and containing it and focusing on it for a period of time. There's always that period of time.
Expecting it. Because it says here, it says, the instrument of your intuition, you let your mind rest upon that thought, knowing, to me that's expectancy, full well that this very thought will respond to itself.
That's a pretty powerful statement in itself, that the thought will respond to itself.
Yeah.
And I think
but there's
Napoleon Hill says, exactly. And they have a life of their own. They take on a life of their own. They're attracting other life force thoughts to themselves. And that's where Napoleon Hill's talking about. So when he focuses on an idea for such a period of time that it takes on a life force of its own, that he can't help but to keep following it and have it come into fruition. It's like they have their own, it has its own life force. And that's what I got out of that, where she said there that the very thought will respond to itself.
This is really interesting. Just a thought kind of popped up in my mind about, in everyday day-to-day life, when we interact or get engaged in any kind of thing with anybody else or by ourselves, or this whole idea about how ideas attract themselves, kindred ideas, that is so profound, in the sense that not only for what is being spoken here, but also for learning our life's lessons, or learning what it is, to understand, those around us, or those that we maybe have been in touch with or communicated, or learning something that's outside of ourselves, and and about how what we might be attracting through any kind of activity, what have you, something that may not be quite so comfortable, that can that you lead back again to this point of what is the likeness of ideas that is contributed to that is some kind of disharmony or something like that, and what more can I do to get in alignment where it's completely in harmony, and I'm being able to be drawn back to being right on the right path. That's right for me.
Being clear on your path and exercising your mind to not deviate off it.
Yeah.
That's what I've just learned. Simple.
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So then, it talks about, in the conscious uses of the universal power to reproduce your desires in physical form, 3 facts should be borne in mind. 1, all space is filled with creative power. Check.
Yep.
2nd, this creative power is amenable to suggestion. So, whatever you're thinking, it's going to respond. It's going to, your wishes are command. But, the 3rd one says it can only work by deductive methods. And that's where I'm not really sure what he means by that. But then, then he goes, this last is an exceedingly important point, for it implies that the action of the ever-present creative power is in no way limited by precedent. And then it's like, because, it's like, again, a lot of people focus on reality, they focus on their debt, they focus on this, and they get more of that. So to me, it's like, so again, focus on what you want, not where you are necessarily. And then it goes, in other words, the universal power takes its creative direction from the word you give it. So to me, it's like, you're not focusing on where you are, but it's on where you want to be. But I'm not, again, that word deductive methods, those words are what's throwing me off.
How I interpret that is when we use the when we use the power of creation, it can only take on the form we can give it. So whatever our boundaries are, our limitations, whatever our self-image is, whatever our expectations are, our belief system, that is the constraints that we put on our creative power. So I don't know whether it's this book or the other book I'm reading where it talks about, it gives the illustration of water coming down a downpipe and it's got an S-bend. The water takes the shape of the S-bend, and the creative power can only work through us with what we can give to it. So the more we can put down our limitations, get rid of our old conditioning, increase our faith, use our intention, train our minds, then we can use the more fuller what's the word I'm looking for? Use it to its full capacity. Because at the moment, the capacity that we're giving it to work through us is so limited. We're not seeing very good results. But the more that we can change ourselves and get rid of all of that crap off ourselves, stop mixing with the negative world so much, or choose a bit more wisely associations.
And I was going to say, and also not focus so much on the present world.
Yeah.
I mean, think about, remember Napoleon Hill basically said, all of your spare time outside of work, but all of your spare time should be focused on your goal.
Yep.
So it's on on what you want. All of your spare time. So again, for most of us, we can say that, and it's splattered in there along with all the other, because our mind's kind of a little here, a little there, and it's all good. But man, that laser focus you're going to get, like I said, I think what you typically, just 1 hour of concentrated attention on something is probably the same as what we typically do all day, because our minds are just wandering about. Oh yeah, we bring it back to to the good and what have you, but we're not laser focused.
Relating to or provable by deriving conclusions, by reasoning. Relating to.
What was that, Kelly?
I was just reading from the dictionary, wanted to get a better understanding of what it says about deductive, and it says definition of relating to or provable by deriving conclusions, by reasoning, of relating to or provable by deduction, deductive principles, employing deduction in reasoning.
Yeah. So when you're doing reasoning by deductible methods, you're taking out all of the bits that aren't working. So that's not the answer, 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 and what's left is what works. So with us, when the power flows to and through us, there's only that little bit that's working the way we want it to, because all of the rest of the stuff that we have, our limitations, our belief systems, our self-image, our faith, our intention, our wandering minds, they're all the things that deduct from its power. It's only as powerful as it can be coming through us. So that's why we need to work on all of those other things.
Well, and in that same paragraph where it says, okay, this universal power takes its creative direction from the word you give it. Once man realizes this great truth, the character with which this sensitive reproductive power is invested becomes the most important of all his considerations. It is the unvarying law of creative life principle that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yep.
If you realize the truth of that creative power can be to you only what you feel and think it to be, it is willing and able to meet your demands. Man, sometimes reading some of these are just tongue twisters.
Yeah.
But it's true. If you think your thought is powerful, it is. And as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And then at the last paragraph, as you think, that is what you become.
And so that, as a man thinketh, so is he. You've always heard the term, we attract what we are, and that's what this is talking about. So you can only use the power through the person that you are. So your only limitations are those that you've placed upon yourself.
Yes.
You have the potential to use the power fully if we can shed off all the shit.
Yes. It's faith and applied faith and expectancy.
Yeah.
That expectancy is a huge one.
You know, like, I can't wait to get into psycho-cybernetics, because we're going to learn how to get rid of all of the other stuff that's limiting our use of the creative power. You know, the mold that we've been shoved into by our parents and our teachers, and, you know, all that old conditioning that keeps us constrained to a certain way of being. If we can shed all that off, we're not restricting the power of the force coming through us. It can only shape to what we are.
So you've read the book. I mean, is it pretty well, because there's a common theme when we read all these books, you know, and when I think about I mean, obviously there's a taking action towards our goal, but does it come down to, you know, the affirmations, the visualization, the gratitude, and taking action? Those seem to be the four.
I think that it just clarifies it more on how important shaping ourselves is to being able to use the creative power, like this paragraph is telling us.
Reinforcing in other ways.
Well, yeah, it's more directed at that side of things. It's more directed at the side of things of clearing ourselves up so that we can use the power in a fuller way.
So that's kind of exciting. So
yeah.
I think chapter 16 is going to give us, you know, I like when things give me like exercises, like to apply what I've learned, because sometimes, you know, there's a little disconnect between, oh, that was good, but then it's like I don't like see how I can put it into my life. But I like how the next chapter is going to do that, and I'm wondering, I'm going to read chapters 16 and 17, and I'm not familiar with them, so I'm wondering if next week we'll do them both.
I think the next one's, I don't think so. It's really long. It's really long.
True.
And if they're full of really good stuff, we don't want to rush through them because we're getting excited.
Very true. Very true.
And this chapter gives us heaps of stuff to do. Like, he's talking about how he had habitual meditation for those like ideas to come. So start habitually meditating on your desired outcome so the ideas can start coming. You can just create your own. Like, you can apply it.
Yeah, I mean, he, you know, like, again, second paragraph on the previous page, it's like, he resolutely put aside all questions as to the specific ways and means which would be employed in bringing his desire into physical manifestation, simply kept his thoughts centered upon the idea of making fences and seeing the flowers. So he focused on what he wanted.
Yep.
Wasn't too concerned about how he was going to get there. He just knew he was, again, he had that, the faith and expectancy.
Yep.
That it would happen, and he believed with all his heart that it was going to happen.
Yeah. And it's really nice the way she puts it here in the following paragraph, she says, his habitual meditation and mental picture set his ideas free to roam in an infinitude and attract to themselves other ideas of kindred nature. Isn't that poetic?
Yeah, the infinitude. You know, I love how they write some of these things. It's like when I talk to a British person and they often use the word whilst,
Yeah.
and it's like, what? That sounds so like stuffy to me because that's just not a word we use. That's like from olden days, you know,
Yeah.
like way olden days. Whilst. So
The way they talked.
yeah, well, they were very, you know, they're the founding fathers of the U.S. You know, they had the Federalist Papers, and so before our Constitution came into being, these guys wrote to each other because you know they were in different parts of the country, and so they would write these letters. And when you read some of them, the wording, it's so flowery, you know, like for lack of a better word of putting it. But, you know, some people have actually taken those and written them in more modern language where it's kind of more direct, and because their writing was so like beautiful and kind of poetic and long and big words, you know, so it's just the way they did it.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. Sam, go away.
Interesting points of views.
Yeah.
Kinds.
Down towards the bottom of the last paragraph, it says, then everyone with whom you come into contact with may know, because the Father, the intelligent creative energy, which heareth, here we go with this language again, which heareth on secret your most secret thoughts, rewards you openly, reproduces your thoughts in physical form. As you think, that is what you become. Should you be kept in the background of your mind, that's thought, as you think that is what you become, should be kept in the background of your mind constantly. This is watching and praying without ceasing. And when you're not feeling quite up to par physically, pray. So having it in your mind all the time that whatever you're thinking, you're bringing into physical form, because not because of the instant that you're thinking it, that particular thought is going to come into physical form, but because each thought that you think collectively throughout the day creates the person that you are, and that's what comes into physical form. It's the habitual thoughts that shape the person that you are that causes the creation and brings it into physical form. The fleeting thoughts that come and go don't do anything unless they're habitual and they become part of who you are.
Yep. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, when I read this chapter, it was like, I think it was the most exciting chapter I think I've read so far in this book.
Mm. Yeah. And you know, the thing is, we're waiting for this thing. We're waiting for this thing to jump out and go, oh, this is it. But we already know it all. But we just have to realize the intensity that we need to apply it with. It's not going to happen if we just frivolously go through our day and go, oh, yeah, I did my gratitudes, I did my visualization, now off I go to work, go and eat a Vegemite sandwich. It's you need to be in training as if you're going to take your mind to the Olympics, because we're so far deviated from what our minds are supposed to be, because we're conditioned by people who didn't want us to be able to use our minds, and they've done a damn good job, that we need to go to the gym twice a day to get our mind back into functioning order so that we can actually use it to be able to create the life we want.
Well, think of an athlete, a professional athlete.
Yeah.
You know, an Olympian. It's not like they just, you know, okay, I was on the field. They're thinking about it. They're, you know what I mean? It almost becomes an obsession.
And not that it needs to be, like when we're in our natural state, it wouldn't have needed to be like that, because it would come naturally. But since we are the way that we are now, because we're so far away from that, we're kind of like the difference between a high Olympic athlete and a 200 kilogram donut eating, television watching person who can barely get from the chair to the toilet. That's a comparison
well,
of our minds and the way
I'd say we're a little bit more advanced than that. I'd say that we're more like maybe the middle school track athlete. We're like, you know, but I think I was where you're saying a year ago.
As far as our ideas are and as far as our knowledge is, but as far as our ability to control our thoughts, we're the guy in the chair. We are the guy in the chair. I'm telling you now, we are nowhere near where we need to be able to use this.
I agree. That's very good.
If we don't start training ourselves, we will never get it. I know. I just know it. I'm telling you, I woke up this morning so excited to share it with you. I just know that if we train, then it will happen. If we don't train, it's never going to happen. We're going to sit here. I've been doing this for 2 years, these calls, and no one's manifested anything amazing because we don't have the control. We've got sloppy minds, sloppy minds.
Yeah, we're dabbling.
We need to,
we dabble in this and then but you're right. And the information is similar in all of them, but it's the application where what you're saying is we need more laser focus, more concentration.
Yeah, we need to train our minds to be able to use all the stuff we know. We know enough. We know way too much, actually. We know everything we need to know. We just need to train our minds to be able to use it. That's it. We've got to do the exercises. We can't do all the theory about gym work and know exactly what exercises tune each individual muscle and how to be the most elite athlete and then sit in the armchair and not doing it. I know it all, but my muscles are flabby and I'm fat.
Guilty as charged. So true. I was writing the other, it's so funny you say that, because the other day I was journaling and I just, I was talking about areas of improvement. So I put, exercise on there. And so when I started to discuss exercise, it's like, there's no book I need to read. There's no diet book I need to read. I know everything I need to know. Now it's a case of put one foot in front of the other and get out the door and do it.
Oh, this is the perfect illustration. But don't you want to go and read all the books and find out how to do it? Don't you want to just go and study it?
That's my nature.
Yes. That's what we're doing with this. That's what we're doing with this. It's exactly what we're doing. We want to keep studying it, looking till we find the key that's going to make it work. None of it's going to work. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to work. None of it.
Because it feels good, and you know what? Yeah. It's a distraction.
Yeah.
Sometimes from taking the action.
So unless we
so true.
actually train our mind to be able to do all this stuff we already know, we don't need to learn anything more. We train ourselves like an Olympic athlete.
Yep, and I put it in my journal that, since Friday, I went to the gym Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I told my husband I'm focusing on my cardio because I can just tell my stamina sucks. Mm-hmm. So there's a machine, it's like an escalator, step mill, it's called.
Oh, wow.
And I love that machine because, it's not like, when I'm in shape, it's not like I have to really work hard to get my heart up. So this one, I thought, okay, I'm gonna start on this one, and I kind of have a goal of where I want to be with it. I'm not kidding you. I was at level 1, which is the lowest, maybe level 2, and my heart was like, it's just like, wow, I'm already up in the 150s, 140s, and I wasn't recovering quickly. Like I would do a high interval level 5 for 1 minute and come back down, and 3 minutes later, I'm still like up in the 140s. I looked at my husband, I said, well, there's only one way to go. There's a lot of room for improvement here, and I know I can do it. But I was just like, wow. I mean, so it's like, my heart's not going to get in shape. I want to do some resistance and all that, but it's like right now, my I hate to say the word weakest link, but the biggest area for improvement for me is get my heart strong so that I have that stamina to do the other stuff I want to do.
Yep.
So that's my goal in February. I mean, we're going to be gone for 10 days, but I told Mark, when we're walking along the ocean, in the mornings, I can always, like while he's walking, I can just go run for a minute there and back towards him. Just
Get in
the heart.
get in the nice deep sand. Deep sand's so good for walking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very therapeutic going in the sand.
Yeah.
Me.
I love the feel of it under my feet.
This is rock hard. I mean, believe it or not, they have like a road that the sand is so packed down, like that they actually have a roadway, cars going on the sand because when the tide goes out, it's not loose sand at all.
They must have a high rust rate in their cars over there. The cars will be deteriorating like crazy.
Yeah, I mean but you're right though. I mean, it comes down to when I start to write, it's like, and some days I feel frustrated. So I'm picking up another book, and it's just like, just go do something towards your goal. Yeah. And I mean, it's like, wow, because I just have that habit. I'm just going to read about it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
It's okay to, plan a little time for doing reading. That's
of course. Yeah, for sure. And I was just telling Kathy earlier that I was listening to Kevin Trudeau last night, and he said that one of the main things that they did was to read, like just constantly read, because that's where you get your inspiration, and you're associating with other people with like minds through reading. It's all good, but I'm just saying that that's not going to do it though, if that's all you do.
Right. Not if that's not all you do. Yeah. Right.
Because we can keep searching and searching and searching, but we've already found it all. We're just expanding our knowledge now. We know enough. But if we don't train our minds to actually focus our thoughts, we're not going to be able to use the law of attraction in any great way.
And again, I go back to what Bob talks about, and he's mentioned it many times. And you know what? I get it now because of what you said when he talks about staring at the candle flame to help with your concentration. Because the more concentrated, your mind is, the more, I wouldn't say the higher the energy or the vibration, but so instead of having, I'm just going to make numbers up. So instead of having 10 thoughts per hour towards your goal, because of the concentrated effort you've done, you might have 100 thoughts per hour towards the goal. So think of the exponential benefit of being able to concentrate.
Yep. So that's at one end, having more of those thoughts towards your goal, but at the other end as well, like this third point here, the deductive method, how many of those negative thoughts you can not allow in anymore. So if you're staring at the flame and you choose to do that without having a particular thought, the exercise is also about not allowing random thoughts to take hold in your mind.
And how quickly, so instead of trying to convert it like a steamship, having to turn around doing a 180, imagine like it's a jet ski. You like all of a sudden you catch yourself and you just and you go the other way. Positive.
Try taking that flame and see if you can move it.
Well, what I was telling Nicole was that YouTube actually has videos of burning candles. So to focus on the flame. I was like, well, isn't that interesting? So if you're somewhere, you can just, have it right there on YouTube.
I wonder if anyone
even
knows
an app on it. I think somebody's got a website like that. You pick a candle. I saw that years ago. I don't know where it is now, but I thought that was interesting.
So I've committed, and I did it last night, and I wouldn't allow myself to get out of bed this morning until I'd spent 15 minutes focusing on one idea, one thought. I've committed every morning and every night I'm taking 15 minutes to train my mind because I know that's what I need to do. I know it.
I'm going to start with this candle just because I know that's, an easy one for me to start with.
Yeah. Well, it would be easier because for me, having that image in my mind, it was still moving. So maybe a candle's the way to go.
And the idea is we just focus on the flame and just stare at the flame with no thoughts. Just stare at the flame.
I would go back and read those hints for application and practice at the back of this book again.
Chapter 16.
Yeah. So practice the steady recognition of desirable thought possession for 2 periods of 15 minutes each and every day. Not only time yourself each period to see how long you can keep a given concept before your mental vision, but also keep a written record of the vividness with which you experience your mental image. So maybe a mental image is good because then you're also training your mind to get the image more vivid. Remember that your mental senses are just as varied and trainable as your physical ones. I think that paragraph is the most beneficial paragraph I've read in the 4 years I've been studying all of this.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think what I'm going to have for my mental image. Maybe it's like $1 million bill or $1 billion. Yeah, I mean, I've got them. I found them online, and I used to use them as bookmarks. $1 million and billion. I thought, oh, this is great. So I think I'll do that.
Yeah, I don't think it matters so much what it is. I think it's being able to hold it without deviating and being able to get it clear from what she says.
And no thoughts coming into your mind.
Yep, so one steady, what does she say? Not only time yourself each period, keep a given conception before your mental vision. A given conception before your mental vision. Also keep a written record of the vividness with which you experience your mental image. So keeping one conception, not allowing any other thoughts to distract you from it.
So it's one thought, because it's like practice the steady recognition of desirable thought possession.
Yep.
So it's a thought.
Yep. So thought possession, that's the term we want.
So it could even be an affirmation. It could be...
She wants an image as well, though.
Yes.
Mental vision. So, like for me, it was the people sitting on the chairs together doing this exercise. So they're just sitting still on the chairs.
You know what? I think I might either... Yeah, I could see, maybe even doing myself like really fit.
Yeah.
Picture myself running on the beach or I could, like the being wealthy. Although nothing comes to mind with that one. I mean, it's not like, do I visualize the home? Do I visualize the traveling, which is a moving picture. So I think just the fit me right now is what I'm going to see how that goes.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's a good idea to like, it sounds like a good idea to use something that you're immediately working on as your still image to practice your exercise with.
Yeah, because I get a little, with my trading, it's like I sometimes it's like I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be visualizing. The computer screen, you know what I mean? So picturing myself, visualizing myself really healthy the way I want to be, that, boom.
Yep.
Is what I'm going to work on.
Yep.
I like it. I'm looking forward. I don't know if I'm going to be on next week's call. I'm hoping to when we're in Florida. I'll just kind of like, guys, I need to be home at because we're going to be an hour ahead there. So it'll be 3:00. My son will be at work, so it won't matter. So I really want to be on next week's call because this chapter is just, it looks like it's like even better. Chapter 16 is even better than 15. It's got all the answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So I know you need to So Nicole,
Yep.
thank you so much for your for sharing with us your insight, because you're so right. You're spot on.
It's really, I'm just so happy that my higher self is finally talking to me. Oh, I'm allowing it in. It's so
Well,
exciting. I'm so excited.
it always
So
has, my friend. It's just a matter of being ready and being tuned in enough to where it can really shine.
Yeah, I've been getting little bits and pieces of things, but this is huge. This is like so huge.
That's
I don't know
great.
whether you realize how huge this is, but I just know it's huge.
That's great. Congratulations.
I
Well,
think it's excellent.
yeah.
All right. Well, you have a good day.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
yours day's just starting. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna think about my image and get started.
Yeah. All right. I can't wait to see how we all progress now from here.
Yeah. So I doubt I'm going to be on Saturday's call. Oh, we're not having one this Saturday, are we?
No, I've got
Because
a
you're
training thing on. Yeah.
say that again.
I'm doing another bars course.
Right.
The Access bars. Yeah. It's
Okay.
Sunday for me, but yeah.
So I will see you next Tuesday.
Yep. Awesome.
Right.
All right.
Have a good week, everyone.
You too. See you later.
Okay.
Here.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.